What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Friday Mastermind. Today we have a special one. We've got Kevin Kauffman, who is not only an incredibly successful leader in the real estate community. He puts on incredible events. He's, the leader of one of the top Facebook groups for real estate agents. And guys, it's a wild time in mortgage, in real estate, in housing, and as a general. I mean, we've got an affordability crisis. We have a inventory crisis. We have a financial literacy crisis in America, which, by the way, means we have massive opportunity to bring value. So Kevin, most of the people on today's call are mortgage professionals that just want to be more valuable to realtors. So that will be the topic. Sound good, brother?
Yeah, man, I love it. Love it.
So Todd, why don't you help frame the call, and then why don't you properly introduce Kevin? I mean, you guys are good friends. You're the one who brought him into this community. Why don't you frame the call and kick it off?
Well, I'm still stewing on that. I just wrote it down. Massive opportunity to bring value. So think about that, right? As you are listening to this conversation that we're going to have today, think about the opportunity that you have to add value, whether that's to your team, to your realtor friends, to your clients, to your family, whoever that is. I think you who are all here watching this, whether you're watching it live or you're watching the recording, you are awesome and you have that opportunity. So I'm super excited about a lot of things today, Dave. First off, the fact that I'll be flying in less than 24 hours your direction to hang out with you and watch some live music tomorrow on the beach in Huntington. So any of you going to the Darker Waves Festival, make sure you ping me or Dave. We would love to see you. That is going to be a blast. And I'm so grateful to have that time with you. And Kevin, I was just joking before this conversation. Kevin is one of my favorite people to get together with and have coffee, because Kevin and I have different conversations than I have with almost anybody else. Deep, transparent conversations about life, health, money, our finances, and really what we see people doing out in the marketplace that we think they're doing right, and also what we maybe think they could do maybe slightly better. And I met Kevin long ago when he was part owner of a large real estate franchise, but we really became friends when we were in an entrepreneur group together, really, where we were around people who thought really big, and oftentimes bigger than we think in mortgage and real estate. And at that time, health was our bond. And I was joking because I don't have time to get together with Kevin because he's getting ready to put on a kick-ass event in December, which we'll talk about later, NLA Live, which I'm super excited to go hang out with, probably 500 or so real estate agents and learn alongside of the best, and mastermind with the best and learn from the best. So I'm excited for that. But what I would tell you is, Dave's kind of already said it. I mean, Kevin is a thought leader in the real estate world. He leads one of the biggest Facebook groups, Next Level Agents on Facebook. He runs a really large real estate organization within EXP. He runs a team here in Arizona and in a couple other states. That's an expansion team that does typically over $100 million worth of transactions. And ultimately, he's the realtor that has poured into all of you in our community more than any other real estate agent has. So welcome, my good friend, Kevin Kauffman.
Thanks, buddy. Glad to be here. Glad to be back. I feel like it's been a while since I've had a chance to hang out with you guys on a Friday morning.
Always, we just need to make sure we do it more often, because I get more comments from loan officers who watch to say, gosh, you know what, I really learned a ton, whether it was about masterminds or other challenges that realtors are facing. I know it's always good conversation. And I know, Dave, you've got a couple of topics teed up. So where do you want to start today?
Well, I think we're gonna talk about the lawsuit and the changes happening with real estate commissions from someone who is incredibly knowledgeable and has a perspective that thousands of agents are taking his advice. So I mean, that's going to be a big topic. But before we do that, something that I'm pretty passionate about, Kevin, is that more mortgage professionals go to more real estate events. When I interviewed Shant Benoshian this year, it was a couple weeks after he was at Inman, and he was telling me, by the way, for anyone who's listening, Shant's #1 realtor in America, and he's like,
loan officer in America.
Excuse me, yeah, #1 loan officer in America, and he was like, I'm so shocked at how few loan officers were at this event, and him and I were doing a whole riff on, like, these are your alpha referral partners. Shouldn't they really try to be smarter than every realtor in their market and be bringing ideas? So one, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, Kevin. And then I'd love to know any events that you just think realtors should put on their calendar, loan officers should put on their schedule in the coming weeks, months, and going into next year. So what are your thoughts?
Dude, first of all, it's one and the same. If a realtor should be there, a loan officer should be there. Like at the end of the day, if it's a good event and there's good content, there's a couple ways to approach it, or at least the way kind of my worldview of it is like, hey, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna learn from whoever's on stage, right? And so I don't care what industry they're in, if it's related, like real estate and mortgage, if it is exactly what I do, or if I'm learning from somebody who's in a completely different industry. If I can learn from them, I can learn from them, right? So there's that piece of it. But then the other piece of it is who else is there, right? Who could I network with? Who could I get to know? And then the third and maybe more important piece, like something I guess maybe I should say first before I kind of finish that third tier of an event, is my job. I view my job as the same way like most like mega loan officers would view theirs, which is my entire business is built through relationships with other real estate agents, right? So I do have a real estate team that runs. It's if you're familiar with the MREA, it's a 7th level type of business for me. I'm in it for about an hour to an hour and a half a week. Most of my work activities have to do with building my EXP community, and I've approached that not different than I would if I was trying to build any other business that depended upon realtors. So through relationships, by providing value. And so the most valuable thing when it comes down to like dollars and cents in my business, I think that I can do and that a loan officer could do is provide value. And the easiest hack for that is to bring somebody to an event. So I'm going to go to an event to learn. I'm going to go to an event to meet new people, because that is where you meet people, or you have an opportunity to. And then you can also be the conduit of value to somebody that you've invited to an event. You mentioned the event, Todd mentioned the event that I'm putting on here in a couple of weeks. Truly, the reason I'm putting on the event is because I needed another event before the end of the year to invite people to. I'm not a lot, like, no exaggerate. I'm going to lose money. We might break even, but we're probably going to lose a little bit of money on paper. The reality is the whole purpose of the event is so I had something to invite real estate agents to bring value to them. So they saw me as like the conduit to learning from the people on stage. And I just was like, there's nothing in November, December that I could really use. We're gonna put on this big event. And so I think that you can find value at any event. I think it's really easy when you know your audience, when you know your people on your list, who's maybe you're already in business with them, or there's somebody you want to be in business with. And if you don't, I think our number one job is to get to know those people, because when you know them, it's really not hard to bring value and to go, hey, this is actually going to be a good event for them. And so like the way I might sell NLA Live to Todd as an example, or any other event for that matter, is going to be different than the way I invite you, Dave. Like, because like you guys are obviously got a lot in common. However, you're also different. You're not the same person. And so because I know Todd, I'm going to appeal to what I think might appeal most to him. And I'm going to do the same with you. Like, it's literally going to be an individualized invite. And there's nothing more valuable I could do with my work time, in my opinion.
So I just want to make sure folks just know what levels of success you've done. And let's just focus on one, you've had some big years as a team leader. If you could just share that real quick. And then you also are building a pretty large EXP community. Just share that for everyone, and then we'll get into the topics.
Cool. So I have a business partner. We've been in business together now since February of 2008. So coming up on 16 years. Had a license for like 6 months, 7 months longer than that. I think we've sold collectively about 3,500 homes in that time, as many as 550 in 1 year. The reality is we have stepped out of that business. As I mentioned, it's more of a 7th level operation, and we'll only close 150 to 220 transactions a year. And
wait, time out. Did everybody catch oh, we're only going to close 100 to 200 or 150 to 200 transactions a year. But anyways, that's funny.
There was a time in my career when I thought even 100 or 200 just seemed like almost astronomical. And now it's like, I look at some of what my friends do and I'm like, God, I couldn't even think of selling as many homes. And then more of my focus time is in building our EXP community. And that's about, well, it was about 2,100 agents until yesterday, but a buddy of mine who I've known for 15 years is in the process of converting his 140 person brokerage over now. So hopefully we'll be at about 2,300 or so in the next couple of days.
Congrats,
Congratulations.
man.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome.
And how big is your Facebook group?
Maybe 27, 26,000, somewhere around there.
So guys, I just want every loan officer watch this, manager of loan officers, like, stop multitasking. You have someone that knows how to run a team that closes over 100 transactions a year and has done as many as 500. They manage a opt-in group of realtors of 26,000 agents. And he's recruiting agents into EXP and has one of the top EXP platforms. So stop multitasking. This isn't something you're going to want to listen to. And also, his event is an event that, remind everybody what day it is, where it is, and if they wanted to come to it either individually or with a realtor, what would they do?
First of all, don't come alone. Bring a realtor friend. December 5th and 6th in Scottsdale, Arizona. I don't know where you live, but the weather may be better there, but Scottsdale does okay in December. And I don't know if you like sunny and 70 degrees or not, but so if you don't like that thing, don't come. But December 5th and 6th, Scottsdale, Arizona, NLA Live, stands for Next Level Agents Live, NLAlive.com. And Todd, I think we made a code maybe as well that we could share with everybody. And I'm going to forget it.
In the chat. WBN, I think, is the code. So if it doesn't work, let us know. But I'm pretty sure that's the one. No one's told me it hasn't worked. Who I've already referred and asked to sign up.
Perfect.
All right. So badass
So
event.
real quick, let me throw in one other piece of it, right? So I bought a Premier ticket because it has some extra little perks with it. But really the whole point of it is that besides you're going to learn about investing and about what's going on in the real estate market from some of the smartest people, it's also the idea that when I'm out talking to realtors, you all know I talk to a minimum of 10 realtors a day, actual conversations with 10 realtors a day. When I'm working, that's been a commitment I've had almost all year. And I'm always looking for things to share with them. Well, guess where I'm going to learn them? I'm going to learn them at this event. And so that's the opportunity. And I agree with what Kevin says. Anytime you bring someone with you to an event, right, you've got that person that you're connecting with, that you're sharing ideas with, that you're asking for clarity on, you're sharpening each other. And then you just have this different bond than you had before when you get away and you actually have that time with people. And so I would just think through it, right? I know money's tight. It's actually a good priced event. Kevin's given an offer for it. They've got a hotel that's not something, super crazy. And so I'd love to see some of you guys there, and I'll commit to this. If you mortgage people show up, we'll do like a mastermind lunch or something like that just for us, or breakfast. We'll figure something out. So just ping me.
You're paying the bill, Todd? You're picking up the bill?
I'll pick up the bill for that meal. I'm not flying them out here, but I'll pick up the bill.
So we're not paying your travel costs. But
yeah, you know what? Absolutely. It'll be lunch or breakfast or something. We'll figure it out once we know who's going to be here. But it's I got the luxury of it being in my hometown, so I'll just be driving up the street to get there. So since I'll just be burning a little fuel, I'll foot the bill to help you out with the meal.
I'll try to get that in my calendar and join you, Todd. And if I do, I'll split the bill with you. So
perfect. Perfect.
Stay tuned on that, guys. Anyways, link down below. Check it out. So, guys, we're going to spend the rest of this call on two kind of high-level topics. So we're going to start right now, and we're going to go with what I call markets and seismic shifts. And there are some seismic shifts taking place both in real estate and mortgage. In mortgage, to me, the seismic shift that is really a sea change is that rates have come down my entire career. They got to 2% and 3%, and 63% of every mortgage in America starts with 2% or 3%. And that's a challenge for real estate professionals as well as mortgage professionals. And then another seismic shift is this lawsuit and all the change that, is happening. And then we're going to save time. And in the last 15-ish minutes, we're going to do what we call purpose and profits, and how you can really grow your purpose, execute on your purpose, and how that will actually make you more profitable. So those are going to be the two macro topics that we hit. What do you want to go first? Do you want to go markets, or you want to go seismic shifts and get into the lawsuit? How do you want to roll with that, Kevin?
Let's do the lawsuit. Just we'll get that one out of the way, because I feel like that's probably on everybody's mind, or at least it seems like it is.
It is.
Yeah. Any thoughts you want to start off with, or
No. I mean, we brought you in as the the expert from outside, and let's have you go, and then we'll give color around what you have to say.
I think at a time with something like this coming out, here's what I've seen just talking to so many agents. I tend to be like, there's like everything else in life, unfortunately, it's like this side or this side of the aisle, right? And it's like, oh my God, end of the world, or this is no big deal, don't worry about it. And I see people talking like in absolutes, as if they know how the judicial system is going to play out, and they can already see it and it's no big deal. And other people are like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to get a new job. And the reality, I think of the matter is that, yeah, I guess both of those things could be true. I'm not sure that we should worry about either one of those right now. I don't think we should. I don't think we should worry about it being sort of a end of the world type environment for us as real estate professionals right now. There's no sense in doing that. I'm not saying that that's not a possibility. It's absolutely that is a possibility, but I don't think it's necessarily a likely scenario, but it's a possible scenario for sure. But I also don't think we should just go, nothing's ever going to change. And so the conversation I've been having is, how do I operate like something's going to change? What are some things I can do? And also, how do I make sure that if things do change drastically, like what does my future look like? Like what can I do? Right? To me, it starts with a viewpoint and how I see things, because there's no sense in just sort of, it's like one of those things, be aware of it, but don't let it freeze you, right? Don't let it scare you into inaction. And so dude, I think the reality is yeah, it's really possible that things could cease to exist as we know them from a way real estate transactions are done. I don't know if this will turn into something like the way it happens in other countries with very low turnover of housing. I mean, here's what I believe though. Here's what I rest on when it comes to worst case scenario. People still will want to buy and sell real estate, and they will likely still need a guide somehow, some way. Does that mean it's a licensed activity or not? I don't know. I don't know. But I've learned in my now, I guess, 16 years in real estate, I've learned how to generate business, meaning find the people that need help and that want help. And I've learned how to consult with people on what it is they say they want. And then I've also learned how to help them get what they want. And currently that structure looks like a co-op agreement on the MLS, and it might look very differently later. But I believe that with that skill set, I could probably still continue to operate, I'm going to just call it a real estate business in the future, if the worst case scenario happens. I think what I think about more often is a likely scenario of a change in the way we operate, as opposed to a complete wipeout, where it's, I think and this is still not necessarily pleasant, I think, for everybody. But I could definitely see the commissions being decoupled, which I think will make it really challenging for a lot of people, and will probably greatly reduce the number of real estate professionals we have. And if that's the case, then we're going to just have to get better at our skill set at all of those things I just mentioned, which is finding people that want and need help, finding inventory for them, like actually being able to service them, and then figuring out how we're compensated. right? And the compensation part normally takes care of itself if you do those other two parts really well. There's always going to be a way to monetize your service. And so I say that to go, I'm not worried at all. I'm not head in the sand, like, oh, everything's going to be hunky dory. But I'm not worried because from the standpoint of, we'll figure it out. We'll definitely figure it out.
So Todd, I have some thoughts to share, but before I do, you want to go first?
Well, I mean, I just love your 3 points, right? I'm gonna good at generating business. I'm gonna help find people who need my help. I'm going to consult with people, and then I'm gonna help them get what they want by solving their problem, and you'll get paid for it. I mean, that's the same as it is in our industry. So, I think, to me, Kevin, it seems like there's an opportunity. You said just to get better, right? Improve your skill sets. And I think that you in the real estate industry, you're always been the best at role play. And if it's going to come down to being a more difficult conversation because they're, the seller's not always going to be paying for the compensation and buyer broker agreements will become more. Is there some way that you feel like loan officers can come alongside and help real estate agents through this transition based on our experience with Dodd-Frank and all the things we've gone through?
Yeah, I think that's a great example is having gone through Dodd-Frank yourself, but also I think one of the things that you guys as an industry can be really great at and already is the education piece, right? And I know it's something that's important to you and Dave personally, so I assume it is for everybody else on this call too, is the education piece to the homeowner or potential homeowner, to that consumer. And so I think the reality is helping our agents. And again, I see my job no different than the way I see most of your jobs. My customer, if you will, or my partner really is mostly other real estate agents. Helping them to educate their consumers and helping them to take a more consultative approach in this business. And I think the better job we all do that. And when we're working together as partners, a lender and an agent, we got to be on the same page, right? And so I think the more we can actually be on the same page, the more effective we're going to be to help the consumer.
So I have this, I'm gonna share a big idea and then share a micro idea, and I would have a question. So I mean, I just am, and I know you're built the same way, and Todd, I know you're built the same way, but I believe, and I know you believe, that chaos and crisis always creates an opportunity for some. And then I also know chaos and crisis always hurts most. So most people, and so, with that in mind, knowing that some have what I call the innovator's mindset, like they're growth minded people. They're always looking for where the puck's going. And they always believe that, what, I'm not worried about bears because I will outrun someone. I will outrun most people. And I think we're in a market where, first of all, you as a mortgage professional need to really do some self-reflection. And are you have that innovator's mindset and you're like, there will be opportunity and I am going to own that. And then the other thing, and now I'm going to get more tactical, is it is time going into the new year for you to look at your agents. And, first of all, from a production standpoint, a lot of people that did a lot of business in the past aren't doing a lot of business or even a little business now. So you need to make sure that who you're focusing your time and energy and you're targeting and you're working with, they're winning. It doesn't mean they're breaking records on production, but they're winning. But you also need to do another criteria, like, are they the innovator mindset? Like, is it just some baller that does a lot of business, but they don't have an innovator's mindset? And so, by the way, 3 steps: audit yourself and mindset, 2, top grade your agents based off production, and do they have the innovator's mindset? And then, by the way, I think it's this simple. Number 3, mastermind like crazy, like put on your own events, get with these like-minded ballers in your market, go to Kevin's event, go to other events. But to me, it's just mindset, top grading, make sure we're really being with the best in that. Kevin, any thoughts on that? Any steps you want to add, or any, color you want to put around those 3 steps?
You know what I want to add to that second step or color commentary to it is, I would agree that just because somebody's been successful to this point is not a sign that they're going to be successful. One thing that I noticed my first year in real estate was I was blown away at how many, excuse my inner dialogue, how many stupid people were really successful. It really blew me away. And the lesson I learned from it was they were consistent over a long period of time. While not very smart or intelligent, they were very consistent. And that in itself is a superpower in our industry. And while that's still required, I don't think it's going to be enough going forward. And so anybody sort of resting on what they've done, probably not the horse I'm betting on in the next race is kind of my thought. And so I would add that, you know, it's kind of like this, like I like to, you know, I talk to agents literally every day, and my criteria for wanting to hang out with agents and talk to them isn't about how many units they've done in the last 12 months or in the next 12 months. It's more about, are they trying to get better? So, I mean, I don't care if they only sold 10 homes in the last 12 months. If they're trying to get to 20 or 25 or 50, like, number one, I know how to help them. And number two, that's the type of person I want to talk to. But like, if they're at 10, or even if they're already at 50 and their goal is to just still do 50 so they can kind of, you know, they can make their money and not really impact anybody like that, I got no time for anybody like that. And so I always want to be around people that are wanting to be better. And I think that in the past, wanting to be better was like enough to actually get better. And it's not, now it's going to be like a minimum requirement, like just to survive.
That's a really powerful, and I love your metaphor. I think that will stick in all of our minds. You know, everyone listen to this. Remember, if you're listening to this in YouTube or not YouTube, well, by the way, YouTube, you can put your questions and comments down below. We'll get them. But anyone that's watching this live, whether you're watching it in Zoom or our Facebook group, any questions or comments you have, put them down below. So Todd, anything you want to add to that, or before we, you know, get into the markets and get into purpose and profits, anything else, Todd, you think we need to hit here?
Well, I'm questioning because Kevin was looking right at me when he said that a lot of stupid people have become successful, but I think it's so true.
He was not. Don't take that personally. That was
he looking at you too,
bro.
Oh,
no,
okay,
you
good.
don't.
But
he was looking at me too.
He also said hang out with people who are trying to get better, right? And again, that's why I hang out with Kevin. That's why I hang out with you, Dave. That's why I love this community. I think we're a group of people that are trying to get better. But when he said that, I wrote it down because I thought about the fact that that's got to be a filter as I'm having these conversations with other loan officers and other real estate agents, that I'm going to really put at the top of my list of where I'm committing my time, right? So, you know, when, you know, I'm wrapping up my free coaching group I've been doing, and I've just been pouring into the people who are showing up, because those are the people who want to get better. And I'm just not worried about the people who haven't done the work and haven't showed up. And guess what? People are showing up and doing the work are actually finding success, right? It's not that difficult, even though it's a difficult market, if you actually take consistent action. And so I love that when you said that the stupid people that are actually been successful, you said that they were doing it because they were very consistent in what they did. And so I think consistency is super important. So I really love you pointing out those things, Kevin, and those reminders I think are great for all of us.
Yeah, and one more thing before we go to the next chapter. The comment that consistency is a superpower is just an absolute truth. I mean, you know, while I've interviewed hundreds, actually thousands of the most elite mortgage and real estate professionals, and there's a lot of different ways of being successful. You know, most people I interview that are in the mortgage, they're using MortgageCoach, and they're, you know, they believe in leveraging technology to be a better advisor and to create more value for consumers. But every single top producer, high performing person I've ever interviewed, they have a process, they have a strategy, and they're consistent, and they work hard over time. You know, like that is, so just remember that. But to Kevin's point, that is not enough going forward. Like when 63% of mortgages start with 2% or 3%, and realtors want to get listings, and we have an inventory crisis, like it's going to take more than that. It's going to take strategy. It's going to take becoming a master at having the conversation with a household hostage who wants to move up, can afford to move up, but they feel trapped because they have a 2% or 3% mortgage. Like, that's going to take more than hard work. That's going to take strategy and skills. It's going to take strategy and skills to say, you know what, you could rent out that house and move up and look at your net worth in 5 years. Like, that is not a typical skill and talent for either a realtor or a mortgage professional. But going forward, like that's just one example out of many where it takes new thinking, it takes new skills. So Kevin, anything else you want to say about this before we move into just markets and what the kind of leadership you're bringing to agents around this market and future markets?
No, I mean, I think we kind of hit the nail on the head here. We could probably keep talking about it, but I don't know that we'd find anything new to say.
Yeah.
I think we all three covered it pretty good.
So when are interest rates going to get into the fives? I'm kidding, Kevin. By the way, I'm not going to put you.
Hold on. I got to grab my crystal ball.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and when is the inventory crisis going to end? But with all joking aside, not expecting you to have a crystal ball. How do you, as a winner and an influencer of or realtors that are winners, how do you describe this market, and how are you planning for the future, and how are you recommending realtors and lenders plan?
I mean, I think about it as like, it's weird, right? So one thing that's going on in Phoenix is we have seen an increase in inventory. Finally, it's not like it's not like we have a lot of inventory. We just have a lot more compared to what we've been dealing with for the last few years, right? And so I want to be really clear when I say that. Like, and I know there's things in the market that I can't control. Inventory, I can't control rates. There's a lot of those things. I can control my actions. And it kind of goes back to, I got licensed in 2007. And I think my second or third transaction ever was a short sale. I just sort of just did what was in front of me, right? That was the way I had to do a short sale in order to put a buyer and a seller together and to get paid. And so that's what I did. And I think it's sort of that approach of, well, there's still going to I believe there's always going to be people that want to buy homes and people that want to sell them. And I view it as my job to just sort of find those people and put them together. And how that looks is how that looks. Outside of that, there's not a whole lot I can control other than finding those people to put together and then sharpening my skill set to make sure that I can put those people together. And so that's kind of the sort of the first approach that I take to it is I kind of got to play the cards I'm dealt, if that makes sense.
No, I mean, I think it totally makes sense. I think that's really the challenge when I talk to folks is they feel like it's been put on them. It's their unique situation. And, I don't necessarily think, Phoenix may be slightly different than someone in some other state, but I think overall we all face the same problems. And so, I think that once we realize that and we realize we just have a job to do and we actually just have to take action, I kind of joke, I'm at my home office. So on my desk at my office is my magic 8-ball. Denise Donahue inspired me to get one. And so, that's my new way of predicting where things are going and answering questions for people. But I think your analysis is right. I mean, the market's going to be the market and we always have to do what we have to do. But do you see, in the real estate world, are there smart people thinking it's going to be different next year?
I think some people think it's going to be different. I'm a little more gloomy on it, and I don't mean that in a bad way. By the way, I think there's some good in having a tougher market. I think it does some cleaning, of the industry, and I'm okay with that. I think that's good. If you made me bet, or just as far as like what my first thought is that it's probably going to be a lot more of what we've been experiencing for the last few months is going to probably be the theme next year. And whether it lets up in the third quarter or the fourth quarter of next year or the first quarter of the following or even later, I don't know. I tend to be more conservative on my bets, and I would be betting that next year is as hard or harder than this year. I think most people have a more optimistic view post 2024 or even post second quarter of 2024. I'll look at that as gravy. Like if things get, things start going the other direction, interest rates really drop, and we actually get some inventory and just get some more movement, I'll take that as like bonus. To me, that'll just be bonus time. But I'm prepared, at least mentally and kind of business wise, for a tough year in 2024. I don't expect or plan for it to be any better, and likely slightly worse than this year has been. And I don't see that I don't see that as a bad thing personally.
No. And first of all, with that thinking, if that is true, you're going to be better off than your competition, and you have the right mindset. And if it gets better, and like, hey, we have seen the top end rates, and they're going to continue to go down, and we're going to see things improve. You know what? You're going to be better, and you're going to execute better, and you're going to grow even faster. And here's something that, this is not a belief of mine. This is a fact, because we, at Trust Engine, we are a data-driven organization. We help, lenders turn data into dollars. We measure everything. And there are a lot of loan officers that are doing the right things, that have great conversion rates, that, when you look at their price exceptions versus their peers, they're extraordinarily more profitable. And they are profitable right now, killing it. It's not easy. Like, the interviews I do, like Daniel Saw, who his 35 loan officers of the branch that he leads in Columbus, Ohio, has passed Rocket in market share in Columbus, Ohio, in the region. He has passed Huntington Bank, which historically owns Columbus, Ohio, and his 35 loan officers are averaging 6.4 loans per month per loan officer. And why? Because he's obsessed with conversion. He's obsessed with, he doesn't play the interest rate economy, he plays the activity economy. And they are doing the actions and the activity to win, and they're gaining market share, and they're winning. And literally every mortgage and real estate professional can play that game right now. And if you play that game, you win in tough times, and you freaking kill it in good times.
Dave, I'll tell you, man. So like, as you mentioned a few times, I spent a lot of my time with my group at EXP. One of the things I've tried to get across to the ones that are like interested in also growing and recruiting is, I got licensed in 2007. And what was happening in 2007 is the market, the number of real estate agents, and probably number of LOs too, was going backwards. Like it was literally contracting. We just come off of a wild time, and where everything was great, and then it wasn't so great. And I joined Keller Williams Realty, and at the time, Keller Williams might have been, I don't know, the 8th or 9th largest real estate company, but single brand in the US. And while it wasn't growing a lot, like literally the agent count wasn't getting a lot higher, it kept moving up that list, that ranking. And what I remember is like, by the time 2010 rolled around, and like everybody sort of realized like, oh, we made it, or 2011, it was like, okay, finally, I think we made it out of this. We're on the other side of this. KW at the time took off. Now, before that, they weren't really moving, but everybody else was moving backwards. And so just not moving backwards was winning big for them. And so I always think about that. And so if in our businesses right now, whether we're talking about sales of homes, whether we're talking about number of loans we're doing, whether we're talking about recruiting agents, if we can stay where we're at, or even go a little bit higher, like year over year growth of 5% or 10% doesn't sound sexy because of what we've just experienced. However, in an environment like this, that's freaking amazing. And it's also part of what we signed up for, is like, that kind of comes with our industry. And so if we can just do that, and that might mean an increase, it means an increase in activities. And it also means an increase in skill set. And if we just do that, whenever it does clear up, whether it's in 2024 sometime or even 2025, doesn't matter. Those who are left still in it and have done these things, will ride that wave up significantly higher, and I think just sort of smoke their quote unquote competition.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And guys, just as a reminder, this is why for several months now I've dedicated to this mortgage coach 10x. Like I believe every loan officer could do one extra loan. You could do more. I don't care whether you're doing 20 loans, whether you're doing 5, you could do one more. And you could do it in a way that you could 10x it. You could do it every month. You could get one more realtor and you could be profitable. So I just want to remind you guys at this page, I've interviewed all these iconic $100 million plus producers. Daniel, when I first interviewed him on September 26th, this was just interviewing him on like, hey, dude. And by the way, at the time I interviewed him, like, how are you going to do over 300 loans? He's on track to close the year at over 100 or 380. So he's on track to do over 380 loans, his team, and he leads. And then I interviewed him again on the 7th, and it was, hey, how do you take, because I've interviewed a lot of ballers, but you got a branch of 35 loan officers and they're averaging 6.4 loans. Like, how are you training and getting your loan officers to do the right thing? So guys, I just put a link to this most recent interview here, but literally every one of these interviews is just epic. So it can be done. So unless either one of you object, I want to spend the next 18 minutes and just talk about purpose and profits. Is that cool, Todd, or do you have something else you want to cover on these?
I'm wearing the shirt today. I mean, my purpose
markets and seismic shifts. Yeah, there you go. So here's why I'm going to go with this, because I was recently interviewed on a podcast, and I've 38 years into this business. I've been doing this Friday interview for 6+ years. I've been doing the Tuesday interview for over 15 years. And they're like, dude, how are you like still so fired up? And they know I sold MortgageCoach, and like, how do you keep so in the game and fired up? And guys, it's purpose. It's like, I have a purpose beyond the profit of MortgageCoach. Like, if I was just playing the MortgageCoach game for profits, hey, when I sold the company for a lot of money, took a lot of chips off the table, I would have been like, you know what? Killed that game. What's the next game? But that's not my mission. My mission is to change how people get into debt in America. And now Trust Engine is my for-profit strategy. And First Home IQ is my purpose. It is, let's go to high school and college age kids and really change the narrative in America and make sure, because governments aren't going to do this. Schools aren't going to fix this, at least not at scale. And my belief, even if governments, and some governments in some states are doing this, but I'm not buying the fact that they're going to really be inspirational and do the job for high school and college age students. So, Todd and I are doing that with First Home IQ. So there's a purpose and a profit. And we're already finding out we're going to be having Sean Herrero, who's killing it, by the way. He's, I think he closed like 10 loan or did almost 10 million in production last month. I think it was like 9, almost 10 million in production. He was the number 6 loan officer across country, which is a very large platform. And you're going to hear profits and purpose. He's purposeful and he's profitable, and he's even going out to realtors and getting them to do this, and he's going to get loans. So Kevin, when I say the words purpose and profits and how that is the way forward for sustainable success, how do you see it? And what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I kind of like it that it's simple. Like, first of all, I'm a capitalist. I'm not doing, like, profit kind of has to be there. Not all of us can, I'm just gonna say profit's important. I think it's way more important than people want to let it sound like, because it can sound the wrong way to certain people. But profit to me is like number one. Like, if we're not doing it for profit, I'm like, I'm not sure what we're doing. And not that there's not a time for giving and nonprofits, but from a business standpoint. And I love, listen, anytime you're tying the word purpose into that, I like to do the two together. I'm sometimes in awe of people that can make money doing stuff they actually don't really care about, like, because they're intelligent and they know how to do things. But I'm one of those people where, like, I literally need to care about what I'm quote unquote selling. And so any sort of idea where, I feel like my purpose in a lot of ways is to help real estate agents be better in their profession and to make their businesses better. And I want to be paid. I want to be paid for that. I got to make a profit. Otherwise it's just charity. And so I look at those two things as whether I'm helping a consumer or whether I'm helping a real estate agent. I think that makes perfect sense. And I just love the idea of literally tying those two words together the way you have.
Todd, any thoughts you have or anything you want to add on to that?
Well, I mean, I love it, Kevin. You say there's nothing wrong with making a profit. And, again, we have to be in for-profit business, but we are so fortunate to be in, I think, the best industry in the world, right? Real estate, right? I mean, it's an opportunity where most of us have done fairly well by, having, above average businesses. So I do love this part. It's interesting because I've been working a lot on my personal life plan and vision, both business and personal for, the next decades to come. And, it's, to me, the funnest part is the fun, Dave, that we're having with First Home IQ. I mean, when, just seeing the impact that we're already having, and we're at the tip of the iceberg, right? We barely scratched the surface in it. So I think that's something where everyone just needs to sort of think through it. I mean, how can you have a different conversation with your consumers? And the irony is when you support, whether it's First Home IQ or whatever else is that you're super passionate about, anytime that you can have that conversation with your target, whether it's a realtor or another client, whoever that is, or whatever you're trying to build, you have an opportunity to connect with them on a different level because you're talking about something that in here really helps you. And so I love it, Dave. I mean, it's funny, I get asked all the time because people know we hang out a lot. It's like, well, why is Dave still doing this? And I've never seen someone who cares more about this industry, who has a huge why. And I do find that a lot of you who are struggling right now with motivation or figuring out what to do to be consistent, it's because you haven't really thought enough recently about your why, about this bigger purpose. And I just know if you in the end care about people, you care about your customer in here, and you really truly are passionate about that, it makes it really easy to pick up the phone and make those calls that you should be making, that you're struggling to make on a consistent basis. My new favorite word of the day.
Yeah. And so one push, and I really think on the heels of, next week, which is Thanksgiving week, a time of family, a time of gratitude. I think it's a perfect time to start, make it a week of purpose and figuring out what your purpose is. It's bigger than your profits, because if you have a purpose that's bigger than your profits, one, it will be more sustainable. Like, I don't ever want to retire. Like, I'm not like, oh, I want this to happen and then I'm retired. No, I love this game. I love this purpose. I don't think in my lifetime, financial literacy is going to be a non-issue. I do believe it's going to take a couple generations, but I do believe we could change and make financial literacy, which, in modern day era, I mean, it's somewhat baffling that, making kids smart about money as they go through institutional education, that's not a priority, given that it's, number one cause of divorce and stress and who knows all the difficult things. But I do think we can make it better. But I would push everybody, if you become more purposeful, you will be more profitable. And in the case of mortgage, guys, if you can be more purposeful beyond the transaction, helping people achieve homeownership with financial freedom, you know what? You're going to have a higher conversion rate. You're going to get more referrals. You're going to have more confidence. Like, when you call a realtor, you're not going to show up as a loan officer who's selling 7.5% interest rates. You're going to call up as a loan officer that's advising people on, did you know that if you, rent your home and buy the move up, or you list your home and move up, or you go from renting to owning, look at your net worth in 5 years and you can achieve financial freedom by this age. Like, if we become more purposeful, we will be more profitable. Kevin, any thoughts on that?
Dude, you nailed it. First of all, I'm going to go back to the I could be doing something else. Like Dave, you obviously you sold the company, you could retire. Like, you could be done. Well, why would you? I don't know why we would ever do something that we wanted to get away from. So, first of all, your job, you should love a good portion of it. Don't get me wrong, we all got to deal with crap that comes with the job that probably we don't love 100% of it. But if this isn't something that you like is fired up about every day, then like maybe we got to reevaluate that first. And the next thing is, and this is just what I've learned from me, because man, I've consulted so many agents that like they run a poor business. Like they're selling homes and they're broke and there's no margin. And especially in a market like this, like the number is red at the end of the month. Not that they have numbers at the end of the month, but if they did, they would be in red. And so I feel like if we're going to go make progress, something like I had to do anyways, was like, I had to start reading financial statements. I had to start reading my P&L. I had to start reviewing those with third parties. I had to get good at those things so then I could help other people get good at those things. And so if we're going to be financially literate and move the needle for other people, whether that is our community, like outside of work, or our actual sort of work community, I think that it's something we have to be on top of. I know it's something I've worked hard to do better on over the last decade, and a little bit longer than that. You know, I was really lucky. Like my coach, who's still my coach 12 years later, he was a banker and a math guy, and he hammered that into me for the first probably 2 years of our relationship. And so I think if we're going to bring that to other people, we got to make sure we are doing that ourselves first, continuously, and putting ourselves maybe in some vulnerable situations and positions, so that way we get better. And when we get better and take care of those little things that are actually really big and important, then we can help impact others to do the same.
Love.
I can remember stealing from you, Kevin, that you and Fred get together and you have your meetings where you're looking every time you meet and review your P&L to cut costs. And I can remember having conversations with, with the loan officers that I was coaching in the group coaching at the time, really back to mid, 2021, saying this isn't going to be great forever like it is now. We're not going to continue to be, as Bill Hart would say, in the telephone booth, with the cash flying around and grabbing $100 bills, and that you really need to start being a little more fiscally responsible. So I would think about that. Even if you're an individual loan officer, you're running a business, and are you truly running it as a business? If you're running a team, yeah, you probably look at it that way, but maybe could you sharpen your pencil a little bit and make sure, because again, if you can make yourself more profitable while making better decisions, first off, there's nothing bad that's going to happen from that, right? You can live a slightly better life yourself, but then you have this whole idea of, of sharing those profits for a purpose and, helping others because you made slightly better decisions on something that you probably know you should be doing.
So real quick, just coming to the holiday, I want to make sure everyone that tunes into this community, you're paying attention to First Home IQ and the ambassador program, because this is a purpose. Like we want to turn mortgage and real estate professionals into the first responders to the financial literacy crisis. Like if that speaks to your heart, and so make sure at a minimum you go to firsthomeIQ.com and get on the mailing list. So at least you know what's happening. We're going to be releasing another group of ambassadors soon. Josh Metal, actually in the ambassador portal, will be doing next week. I think not next week, the next week. He's teaching a First Home IQ financial literacy class in a high school, and that's going to be on video. You're going to be able to watch the game film and watch Josh do that. A lot of our ambassadors are starting to, put that in their email signature. They're starting to talk about, hey, I am going out and doing outreach in the community, and I donate a portion of every loan, or if it's a realtor, a portion of every transaction to First Home IQ. Sean Herrero is going to be our guest this coming Tuesday, and again, he's killing it. I mean, he is one of the top loan officers in America right now, and he's gaining market share, and he's doing a lot of business, and he's doing it with purpose. And that purpose is giving him profits. So just want to make sure that as we go through the holidays this next week, you guys are at least on the grid. And then Kevin, we hope, First Home IQ, something you check out, at least get on the mailing list and I'm sure we'll have realtors in your community that will partner with loan officers and get out there and make a difference.
Absolutely. Todd, if there's something we can do to share this as well, maybe at the event, let me know. I don't know if there's anything booth wise or something like that we could do, but that'd be something. I'm sure we've got the room. So if we can do something like that, say so, and we'll throw that in.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Love that.
So we got 4 minutes left. Let's Todd, have you be ready in the last 2 minutes to do a win by noon, taking action debrief, and then Kevin, with a couple minutes left, any specific advice to loan officers as they reach out to realtors in this market? Give us just a couple minutes of approach, and if and strategy or talking points that you got 1,000 loan officers watching this. How could they show up more effectively for an agent right now?
I like Todd said something earlier about using something as a filter, using that mindset of the agent, like literally asking yourself. So, here, what? I'll share it with you. Filter I used, my personal coach talked to me about when we were going through something similar, was a whole body yes. And it's like literally checking in kind of head, heart, and gut. And if it's not a whole body yes, the answer is a no, right? And so maybe doing some sort of filtering system. The other thing Todd said was, like, he's committed to actually speaking with 10 people a day, 10 agents a day on his work days. Maybe you might need to talk to 15 or 20. I don't know, right? Whatever it is, though, commit to it and do it. I know that it's more today than it was yesterday. That's what I know. And so if it was 10, maybe it's 12 now or 15. Being okay with that, and just like digging in, literally just dig in and help people. And I think the more of that we do, we're going to be in good shape. And so that's the thing I would say is, like, I know it sucks to hear this, but doing more for the same or less money is the reality of where we're at in this cycle. So what? Just deal with it and move on. By the way, the good times will be back. The good thing is you're mortgage professionals. You get to refi homes. Like, we don't do refi sales. Like, real estate agents don't get a commission when the interest rates go down. Okay. So get over it, get over yourself, and get out there and do the things that you can. And just if you do that, the agents that you want to be in business with will want to be around you. And I think that's the thing that you can do. People want to be around Todd. Everybody in town knows that Todd runs an amazing business, and they want to be around him because he's constantly working on himself, whether it's his investing game, his real estate business, the win by noon business. It doesn't matter. Everybody knows that Todd's trying to get better. And so if we just act like that, we're going to be in better shape 12 months from today than we are today.
Love that. Todd, how do you want to close it out, brother?
And it's hard to top that. I love that idea that we all have to be okay with doing more. And what I would tell you is put yourself in the path of opportunity. I stole that from a mutual friend of mine's and Kevin's, Ben Kinney. And I think that there's an opportunity, whether you can go to NLA Live. I think that would be awesome. Remember, the link is in there in the chat, and also in the Facebook group, or just ping me. The discount code's WBN. Again, that's putting yourself in the path of opportunity to meet other people. When you meet other people, you have a lower call reluctance, because then you can follow back up with them. Hey, what was your biggest takeaway from when Pace Morby spoke? Hey, what was your biggest takeaway from all these other speakers that are going to blow your mind with what they're bringing there? Michael Bernoff's going to talk about, I'm guessing he's going to talk about average sucks, right? Which, really how to really the mindset piece of it. I mean, there's just going to be some amazing speakers there. And if you can't do that financially or because of other family commitments, then look around in your own market. What is it that you can do to put yourself in the path of opportunity? And then set a standard for yourself, right? I'm a broken record on that, but the reason that I talk to 10 realtors a day is because that's the standard I set for myself. And I'm trying to live up to that for myself. And Kevin just mentioned it, right? The market is going to pick up eventually, but whether it picks up for real estate or not, we know interest rates are going to be lower at some point next year. And I can tell you this, that those who are in my 100K challenge, the free group that I'd done that's just about to wrap up, are actually setting up transactions for next year. So they may not be living their best financial life this month or this week. Guess what though? They're making calls, they're getting realtor appointments, they're getting clients who actually need help now, but most of what they're doing is reconnecting with people because they've got a purpose, because they care about their clients. And then most importantly, they're setting up future transactions. And so I think that there's a great amount of opportunity, but be okay with working harder, refine your purpose so that you can be passionate about making these calls, set a standard for yourself, and then put yourself in the path of opportunity so that you can connect with more people. That'll make it a lot easier. And then show up here, right? We appreciate you all being part of this community. And I know that when I show up here, guess what? It motivates me to do more of the things that we all talk about. So I hope it helps you out as well.
All right, guys. So here's my closing thought. Get out there and mastermind with realtors. Like, lean in, make sure you got your mindset is positive and growth minded and the innovative mindset as possible, and then get out there. And, we would love to have folks be at Kevin's event. Todd, I'll let you know if I can make that travel, but Todd's going to be hosting a mortgage lunch or, whatever, a meetup around that event. Yeah. And so check that out. As a reminder, just as we go through the holiday, really be grateful, fall in love with the business, because being bitter is not going to make you more successful. Like, we need to get better, not bitter. So this is a wrap, man. Kevin Kauffman, dude, as always, it's an honor to have you. Grateful for you. I know you say no to a lot of things, you say no to a lot more things you say yes to. And thank you for always saying yes to Todd and I when it comes to serving this community that we both love. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you guys.
Todd,
Love being here.
Yeah, and Todd, I'll see you tomorrow. If there's anybody in Huntington Beach going to the Dark Wave Music Festival, we will be there shutting it down, watching Tears for Fears shut it, watching Echo and the Bunny Man right before that.
Dude.
New order. It's gonna be great.
Oh, dude, it's good at TSOL, Violent Films.
What?
Maybe Kevin will jump on the plane with us tomorrow. Kevin, my flight's at 8-something in the morning.
Send him a link to the music festival we're going to tomorrow.
Sounds awesome.
All right. Take care, everybody. This is a wrap.
All right, guys.
Boom.